Welcome back to the Evolution with Mac and Jenn podcast. This is Jenn and Mac. And today we are going to talk about 10 things that happen when you step into your power.
Do
10 things that happen when you step into your power.
you want to read them off?
Well, first off, okay, so you just want me to read them off, all 10?
Yeah, we'll just read them off and then we'll go over them.
Okay. So actually, I say I read off number 1 and then we go over that. We'll just read off each one as we go.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1, you find your voice.
Okay.
Now, what does that mean?
You find your voice. Okay, so I would argue this actually a little bit. So I would say 10 things that you have to figure out how to do to gain your power. That's how I would personally look at it. Because I don't believe anybody can just step into their power and then all of a sudden they find their voice. Right. Like it's more like, no, you find your voice and it gives you power. Right? Like that's kind of how I look at these. So I liked a little bit of a, back and forth with that concept or idea because I like to challenge things. So we'll play the game with that. But you find your voice. What do you think finding your voice is?
I think finding your voice is when you start to question and discern.
But at what point does somebody know that they found their voice?
You find your voice when you stop trying to please everybody by staying quiet. When you're finding your voice looks like
Like you don't care what other people think.
you stop caring what other people think,
Mm.
and you start doing what's best for you, meaning you say yes when you want to say yes and you say no when you want to say no, and you kind of stop caring and you realize that your needs are important.
Yeah. The caring what other people think, and when somebody is living for someone else or trying to get the approval of somebody else, or if you're embarrassed by your voice, it's not you haven't found your voice, but when you can stand inside your own power and just speak however you want to speak, and just like the effect of, hey, if you don't like what I have to say, go away, period. Like, what are you doing here? Get the hell out of here. Like, I love being able to speak what I want to talk about. Cars, coaching, challenge something, snowmobiling, like what, I don't care. I don't like whatever it is. I just want to be able to speak it and speak it freely and find the people that actually support it. And as you do it, you begin to kind of say, you know what, I don't care. The less you care, the more powerful your voice. And when you do that, all of a sudden you begin to attract the people that like what your voice, and then it reinforces, and then all of a sudden you realize the power that you actually have. But often it comes through the struggle of letting go of everything and then gaining that power that you always had inside you, but now you're letting it run free. So
You find your voice.
yeah. So what do we got for number 2?
Number 2, what happens when you step into your power, or you must start doing as you're stepping into your power.
Yeah.
Is number 2 is you make self-care a priority.
What is self-care to you?
Self-care is doing things intentionally to fill up your energy cup.
So like eating food.
Eating healthy foods can be a form of self-care. Taking a bubble bath can be a form of self-care. Going out dancing can be a form of self-care. Going to the gym can be a form of self-care. Painting.
What is not self-care that sometimes people confuse for self-care?
What is not self-care that people confuse for self-care? I honestly, I mean, I think that anything can be self-care if it's something that you enjoy doing that is filling up your energy and rather than draining your energy. So I mean, I really like for me, I mean, I look at a lot of things as self-care. Like I drink a glass of water and I see it as self-care or like but I can tell like when my energy is really low, then I really need to do something big. Like I need to sit and meditate for like 20 minutes or that's when I need to go dancing and like fill myself up. So that's what I see. What was your question?
Like what's not self-care that people sometimes call self-care? But I'll say that, one of the biggest things of self-care that is probably the most, well, it's one of the hardest. It's also one that most people won't do, and that's the ability to say no. Right? Like it's part of some other ones we're going to talk about, but the ability to say no or stop or slow down or recognize things and change patterns or do whatever is a form of self-care.
Okay.
And there's
Boundaries is
yeah,
is a form of self-care.
yeah,
Yes.
so there's it's a big discussion, and it's also an evolution of discussions, because if you are not putting yourself first to start with, then first you have to go through that battle of beginning to put yourself first, which means everybody's going to battle you. You'll be accused probably of being selfish, or at least feel guilt over putting yourself first. And so there's that conversation there. However, when you kind of realize the benefits, and the more you put yourself first, the more you have to give, so everyone's winning, and you eliminate the losers in your life that are dragging you down into that arena, and you get around people that also take care of themselves, and they support you in taking care of yourself. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to do that. Like, yeah, of course. Like, and all of a sudden you feel this power come in, because you're like living a life that you actually enjoy, and you understand that putting yourself first gives you energy. And when you have energy, you can give more to everyone. So you became a far more powerful person by having the self-respect and putting yourself first, so that you can do more, and then you do more, you get the results. And once you get to that point, the evolution then gets to the point of self-care turns into things like, well, we take time to meditate, we exercise, we make it a priority, we eat good food, we travel, we try to have as much fun as we possibly can. Right, like everything that we're doing, we're trying to look at it, have fun. But if we're exhausted, we're like, no. If somebody wants something from us, and it's like, no, my energy's not good, you can't have my time. Like it's very clear, it's very easy. It's just like, yes, no. Like, let's do this, let's do that. And self-care for, like, it could be a massage, it could be a trip, it could be um getting treatments of many different kinds, right?
Laying on the couch watching a movie.
Yeah, just chilling, just taking some time to heal, or just to feel good, right? Like sit in a hot tub, whatever. But there's a lot of self-care type of things.
The point of self-care though really is to fill up your energy cup. That's what I like to say. It's to fill up your energy cup,
Mhm.
not just so like you feel good, but like Max said, so you can give the overflow to others. Because that's the most fulfilling thing. And
Yeah,
we want to give to others, but if we're constantly giving, and if our energy is low, um, it
you're
shows,
yeah, yeah,
like
you're gonna be ineffective, you're gonna manifest bad things. But when you're very pure and good with yourself, it creates an energy that you wind up creating more of that. So
so
use
you
it to
want
your
to
advantage.
you want to give from the overflow.
Mhm.
And actually that I do tell people like the story about how Jesus disappeared
Mm.
off into the
Often,
woods.
all the time.
Yeah, for like I think the story I heard was like he disappeared for like 3 days,
Mm.
and these guys were like looking for Jesus, and they found him, and and Jesus had been in the woods for 3 days. And they're like, Jesus, like, what are you doing? And he was out there, he was praying for 3 days. They're like, what are you doing, Jesus? Like, the whole town needs you. Like, everybody needs you. And, but Jesus knew that he couldn't give to the entire town if he didn't take the 3 days or the time to sit and just pray and fill up himself so he could give to everybody else. Because if he continued to give and not take that time, then he wouldn't have been able to perform at his best.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay, so some of these are a little, I think, redundant. Is that the
Yeah.
word?
Well, let's see what we got
Okay,
next.
so number 3 is what happens when you step into your power is you stop caring so much about what other people think.
Yeah. So we pretty well covered that with, find your voice, stop caring what other people think. But
Setting boundaries as a form of self-care. And even though sometimes setting boundaries, like it might appear like it hurts other people's feelings, the more that you set them, I think the more that people start to see that like it's actually a good thing.
yeah, the more respect you get. Like a lot
Hmm.
of times, oh, if I set this boundary, it's going to be a struggle. People are going to not like it and everything else. But when you do, all of a sudden they like you more. They respect you more. It's like, what the hell's going on? It's like the bully that tries to bulldoze somebody, and then you punch him in the face and knock him out his ass on the ground, and then he wants to be your best friend. It's like, what, dude? Like, what the hell? But it's just it's a boundary that when it's set properly, people respect it. People love discipline, even though most will say they're not. They're disciplined in negative ways, but when they see somebody that's good at it, typically they enjoy it. I mean, they might be sarcastic about it sometimes, but they admire that frame. So going back to, finding your voice and then the self-care, you can't care what other people think. And why would you care what other people think? Like, let's just kind of start out with that. If it's like, oh, I want to step into my power. Okay. Why? Oh, because I want blah 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 blah. A lot of times it has to do with other people. So if your power is dependent on other people, you have a failure problem right there. If your power is with, I just want to love my life, I just want to live an amazing life, I want to be happy and do all these amazing things, I just want to be me. Okay, now we got something to start with. Then why would it matter what other people think?
Well,
Why? What's relevant?
I think sometimes we care what other people think because we care about hurting their feelings.
Can you really hurt somebody's feelings though?
I mean, we think we do.
But the reality is like nobody can hurt my feelings unless I let them.
Yeah, I know, but when it's like children, it's like
I,
sometimes we
I was taught that at a very young age. So it's like nobody
sometimes
can make you mad but you.
sometimes like us moms will um we care so much about what the kids think and what our husbands think and our mother-in-laws think and everyone thinks that we
So you're built to be caretakers.
yeah, and so we do care
Yeah.
because we're afraid of hurting their feelings and not being.
Yeah, I think putting yourself, like, for especially for women, to put yourself first, to not care what other people think, it's like completely backwards from just biology, even the natural instinct of a woman, because you're like born as a caretaker. You're caretaking eggs, whether you like it or not, and so you are a caretaker, and then that overflows into life and different things. But you know to challenge the caring what other people think, that comes into a different conversation of saying, okay, well, what if a kid is mad? Why? Like, I mean, if a kid gets mad at me, I don't really care.
Well, typically when you set a boundary and somebody gets mad or reacts to the boundary, the reason that they're upset is because to them it feels like something's being taken away from them.
Mm.
And that's actually true. You are taking your energy away from them. But it's not to hurt them. It's because you realize the importance of protecting your energy so you can give to them from your overflow and not from a space of drained.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get to the point of, not caring what other people think. Um, but typically, if you care what people think, it's because you're dissatisfied with yourself, and you need to start loving on yourself and figuring out why you are amazing, why the things that about you are perfect, that just the way they are.
I mean, I do care about what you think about me.
Well, there's a certain level of caring about what is thought,
Yeah.
between us. But if I was so worried about my like if I was going to scare you off, or do something that offended you, right? Then it would change my natural behavior. And if I can't behave naturally, now I'm in a controlled, and like I'm having to control an environment that I say that I want to be in, but it's a lie.
Yeah.
Versus when I can just totally be myself, and you keep like you're like still here, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, huh, this is cool. Like my driving, terrifies most people. You just are content. And I'm like, it's like there's something wrong with her. so so no, but what's cool is I just am like, I'm not going to worry about what you think, in the sense of I want to make sure you're taken care of. I want to do different things, but I'm not going to change my natural behaviors. I'm just going to be myself. However, if something were to really offend you, I might look at it and be like, maybe I don't like, maybe I should work on that. But at other times, if you were like, you got to slow down, I'd be like, I don't know when that's going to happen, if ever. So if that's a serious problem, it's going to be a fucking problem. So, we just have to work through it to figure it out. But the cool thing is when I act this way, or she does her thing, however it is, we don't have problems. There's no lies. There's no issues. We can chill. Like if she's like, I need to check out for a while or do something, which you haven't really done much of anything that I know of. But it's just like, I'll be like, okay, it's good. Like it's cool. But what has actually been the most interesting is, I would say there's probably some things that you might question here and there, is like, as far as like, I wonder how he's going to respond to this. But I can't, because of the match between us that works. Like I probably like it, or like my craziness a little bit, she kind of likes. So I don't need to hide from it. I'm just being myself. And there's like beauty in that. So consider that when you do this, you find the power of like an amazing, in this instance, a relationship or a business, or whatever you're wanting to achieve or work on. Stop giving a shit what other people think and just be yourself. That's one of the most attractive things there is on the planet. It's like a level of confidence. It's like, oh, you can just be yourself. You're crazy, whatever, but you're yourself. We love you. Like, and you might have what would be considered a flaw to some people, I guess, but it's not. It's unique. So then it becomes an advantage. So I could go off on that one probably.
Yeah, very good.
So
Okay.
you fall in love with your
Your
soul and
you're
you're human. Okay, what does that mean?
Well, I think that when you step into your power and you start doing these things like speaking your truth and doing self-care, and you stop caring so much what other people think, you fall in love with your soul, meaning you start to love yourself and respect yourself.
I would almost say that that's part of the process, and you find yourself.
You find yourself.
Yeah, like when you begin to put some of these things into play, it's like you find yourself, which is like shifting gears on the power level.
Yeah. And when I say you're human, I mean like you also start to love who you like. You just start
Your
to,
physical expression of yourself.
yeah, your body and your physical expression of
with
yourself.
like with where you're at, your imperfections, your differences.
You stop judging yourself so much, and you start to really just
appreciate who you really are.
Yes. Yes. And when I say fall in love with your soul, I mean you really like you start to realize that you are, I like to say you're an angel learning to be human.
Yeah.
And so we really start to just fall in love with who we are. That's it.
Awesome.
Anything else on that one?
No, I think they all build together.
Number 5, you start living in the now. No more worrying about the past and no more stressing about the future. So you start living more in the present moment.
Yeah, there was something I remember I wrote down on this. It's in a memory, I think, on Facebook, but it was like I I can't remember what it was, but it was like so many people, like if you're chasing the future but living in the past, you'll never experience the moment. And there's nothing more valuable in our life other than the moments that we remember. So why would you try to chase the future or live in the past?
I really feel like these days I am doing a lot of living like moment to moment to moment to moment. Like even it's kind of hard to explain, but even with our business and the membership that we're growing, our community, it's like making decisions kind of moment to moment, like what feels good now. And going off of that, like if you're going to write an email, like what feels good now, not worrying about anything future, or just like what's good now. If we're going to do a podcast episode, like does this feel good now?
Yeah, one of the key things that my mentor taught me was like the number one thing to focus on is to feel good. The number one thing. So with that, there's also this question that often is asked. Okay, should I do this or should I do this? Which one feels better? And then make the move. And there's often times when like moving towards something, what should I do? Well, what feels better? Does it feel like I should move or not? And you'll get a feeling or an indicator of like which way to go, right? Like, do I go this way or do I go this way? This is literally like how I've like based marriages on this type of thing, and I've also based like walking away from different things based on this type of thing. So it's a very specific in the now feeling. If your mind is in the past or in the future, you should not be making the decisions like that off of that. Like your feelings will be false in a sense. But when you're in the now, and you can be clearly guided to move forward with clear connection and go forward. So that's like one of the manifesting sides of it. But at the same time, like, why would you want to miss the now? If you have an expectation of the future, it means you haven't hit it, which means there's lack, and then you're missing what's happening today. And who guaranteed tomorrow?
I think it's about also too, like being in the now is like trusting, and I say this a lot these days, is like trusting in your ability to make decisions. Like now, not like you're making a decision, you make the decision. We're not thinking about the past or worrying about the future, just trusting that I'm making this decision and I'm confident in it. And right now I know this is the right decision, even if it's the wrong decision, like it's the right decision
for the right now.
For right now.
Which is faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool.
Awesome. What else we got?
You become more honest with yourself and others.
I would say we pretty well covered that one through the other conversations, as far as like not caring what other people think. it gives you the space to eliminate the people that may be problematic in your life and causing you distress. And when you become more honest with yourself and more honest with others, then the right people find you and they support you. So
Yeah, you become more honest with yourself and others. And it makes me just think of like people that I've dated in the past, where it's like old Jen, who wasn't in her power, would have stayed in these trying with these relationships that did not work, that were not right. Because I, wasn't being honest with myself or with them. But once I decided to be honest, it was like I could tell these were not serving me. And so it was easier to let relationships go once I became honest with myself and was more confident and in being honest with them also.
yeah.
And that has served me very well, because had I not let them go,
Mhm.
I would never met you, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be here now. I'd still be stuck in the past. Okay. Number 7, your light shines brighter.
I would, I think that's girl talk. So I would say you become attractive to more people. You become an attractive character. And because you're shining and you're brighter, you're confident. And so you draw to you more power. And it gives you that more fulfilling, you're honest, you've got nothing to hide. You become a powerful light in a sense, but I would call it the attractive character that draws people in.
What happens, I see, when you step into your power is that in order to step into your power, you really have to start shedding the layers of, like, we call it like the masks. You take off all your masks and your lies and you let go of the guilt and you let go of judgment and you just start shedding all of this stuff.
Stories.
You let go of the stories and you let go of old beliefs that don't serve you, and you start letting you go of habits that don't serve you because you're making self-care a priority. And like, so as the more you shed and the more that you let go and like the weight gets lifted off of you, the brighter you start to shine, because you are not carrying so much anymore, because you are taking care of yourself and filling yourself up. And it's just it's like you let go of the need to control everything, because you step more into faith and trust. And that's truly, like when you said, I think you said this in like the very beginning, when you step into your power, you it's like I don't even know what you said actually, but it made sense. But it was like you let go, when you were able to let go, then you kind of like your face, you can smile brighter and your eyes look bigger, and you can really start to see that like you're not carrying so much anymore, because you have just it's like it feels like freedom.
Just opened up.
You've opened up.
Yeah.
That's from a woman. That's kind of how I feel, what it feels like. I don't know what it feels like when a man steps into his power. When I think of a man stepping into his power and shining brighter, I think a man, and even a woman too, would they uh, they walk with their shoulders back a little bit higher, and chin up, and like you step into a room. Even for women, you step into a room and everybody kind of notices. They feel that bright like presence. That's what like shining brighter is like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
Okay. Number 8, you stop settling
settling for what?
for anything. You stop settling in relationships. You stop settling in jobs. You stop settling in, I don't know, what else.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
mean,
say?
I'm never settled, like never will, but But a few things that I had to, I mean, some big ones that I had to quit settling for was the bullshit and the lies that were being hidden. Like just like not get dealing with the shit that needed dealt with, and letting myself just go do whatever, with settling for a narrative. Or maybe it's now that things are more advanced. I don't settle for a certain amount of money. Don't think I ever will. If I do, I'll let you know. But I don't settle for that type of stuff. I don't settle in my body. I'm always looking to elevate it or gain more. It's like I want to, one of the things that I continue to chase is to feel like a little kid again. It's like, no, I want to feel that like you can just do anything, like run and jump and bounce and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And so like, why would I settle for anything less? I've already had it. Why would I settle? Inside of a relationship, I'm not going to settle for just status quo. It has to grow. Like that's just where I'm at. So business, money, all these
I
different things.
wonder if instead of saying when you step into your power, you stop settling, like instead of saying you stop settling, we reword it to say you raise your standards.
You could say raise your standards, and I would say to get to your power, you stop settling for the bullshit that you're settling for right now.
And you start raising your
Yeah,
standards.
somebody says, "Oh, I don't have enough money." Well, stop settling for not enough money. Get off your ass. Stop settling for the effort that you're putting in. Stop settling for the environment that you're in that allows you to stay inside that frame. Stop settling for those things and do something different. So yeah.
Yeah, stop settling in your body, you stop settling in your relationships, you stop settling in your business, and you really, go after more. You want more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this next one I think is actually the first one. You release attachment. If you want to change, you're going to have to release attachment to the things that you have right now. So part of the not settling, part of the letting go of people, part of not caring what other people think, everything we've talked about is actually you have to release your attachment to things or ideas or whatever. And I watch so many people struggle, like with like making payments on stuff or dealing with this, or just just everything they struggle. I'm like, well, what if you just walked away from it? Well, I couldn't do that. Why not? Why can't you just walk away from it? Well, I mean, I understand that if you have a financial responsibility, you should probably take care of it. But I've had to make those decisions sometimes where I had to walk away from different things. Like it was like pay the power bill or pay for my truck. It's like I'm going to pay for the power bill, right? Like let it go. Walk away from a problem. Like it was something you could do once, you can't do it anymore. Business is gone. You have to walk away. So you just walk away from it, and almost instantaneously, the problems that are killing you go away. Now it's not gone forever. I mean, yeah, there's still repercussions to it and different things, but when in a financial sense, and I've had to do this a couple times where I let go of things. I let go of entire businesses. I was like, if I fight for this business, it's gonna just hold me down, hold me back. And people would say, yeah, but it's yours. It's like you helped build it. You did all these things. And I'm like, yeah, but if I fight for it, if I fight in it for it, it's like it's all bad energy. If I walk away from it, my energy's free. I can go create what I want. I can just eliminate everything else and start fresh and then build something. Or if I fight, I could still be in the fight a year from now and not be anywhere, except for maybe more depressed or exhausted or whatever. And when you fight, it's ugly. Like it's always ugly. So then you become an ugly person. So I'm like, I don't want to let it go. Just let it go. It's not worth it. So let that the idea of like releasing your attachment is almost always an emotional attachment. No, nobody wants to go from beautiful, wonderful like 5,000 square foot or mansion. I've lived in like 14,000 square foot homes before. You don't want to let go of that stuff, but it's like, okay, it's not so bad to go down to like 5,000 or 3,500 or something. But I've gone from like way up there to like moving in with somebody to manage. Like, it's not easy, but my attachment was either I can start winning as soon as I let go, or I can continue to struggle and lose just because of I'm hanging on to something. Stuff. Just stuff. Why? And so you just let go and you move forward.
Yep.
Want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, that was really good. I mean, I'm trying to think like what could be added to that, but really just I think of it as like releasing attachment to outcomes. So what I see is a lot of us have really these ideas of the way things are supposed to look. And and
Expectation.
we kill ourselves sometimes trying to force things to look the way we believe they are supposed to, meaning our relationships or our attachment to the white picket fence and the house and the kids and so, or like if you're dating, you're you're you release attachment to the outcome of the dates, meaning a lot of us will go into a date with this attachment to this outcome that this is going to be the one, and we will do anything we can to kind of construct it to make it look like, or to, what are the words? We have these attachments to the way that we think life is supposed to look, and if life doesn't turn out the way that we think it is supposed to in our heads, we suffer. Some people, like, I know, have this attachment that they need to be married with kids by the time they're 27, and they will do anything they can in order to make that happen, and if it doesn't, they freak out.
Yeah.
It's like releasing attachment to any outcomes, and really just understanding that life isn't certain and nothing is certain. And so when you really step into this new version of you, you trust that it's all working out for you. And you just kind of like understand that sometimes, nobody expects to get divorced, nobody expects to lose a loved one, we don't, a lot of things that we expect to happen,
Or get addicted to problems, alcohol, porn,
we
drugs.
don't expect these things to happen. um and so it's like we really just, it the need to control kills us in a sense. But if we can understand that, you know, it's okay for life not to look the way we always like thought it was going to, instead just trusting and trusting that, God has our back, there is a plan, everything's going to be okay, like it's all good. I never expected to be divorced at 35 as like a single mom, but it just happened, and it's like it's okay. And so it's just trusting, releasing attachment to me is really trusting um that everything is going to be okay. And Tony Robbins says, leave your expectations for appreciation. Trade your expectations for appreciation. So stop expecting life to go the way that you want it to go, and start appreciating life for what you do have and what you can give. Did that make sense? So, yeah.
Yeah. Just consider that what you're hanging on to right now might be what you need to let go of.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So in a nutshell, what you're hanging on to, you might need to let go of in order to get you to where you truly want to go. Or when you pray for something, sometimes we do have to let go in order to receive.
Yeah, and I mean it's the law of learning, right? Like if you want things in your life to change, you have to change some things in your life. The fastest way to change something is let go of something you're holding on to. Has to change. Absolutely has to. But like there's no question. So things to consider, right? That. And then the last one, which is kind of the conclusion of all of these steps, is you create a life you love living in. Right. So if you do all these things, and I mean, there's not really one there that actually says set boundaries, but they all kind of say it in a sense. And so I want to touch on that a little bit. Boundaries are they're external and internal boundaries. So you want to keep that in mind. I have boundaries for how far out I go, and I have boundaries for how far someone else comes in. Right. So you have to have those differences on where you like set your own limits and where you set the limits of other people. So just keep that in mind. There'll be another topic for a different day. But when you do all these things, you begin to create a life that you love living in. Right. Like think about it. Your let me see this. So like I said, like you release attachment. Okay, a little bit of a struggle, right? Like it's like, okay, why I don't love letting go of my nice shit. Like I don't love that. So why are you telling me I create a life I love in? Well, let's just start there. Let's just let go of some stuff that's probably in your way, and God is working it to your advantage. The sooner you let it go, the sooner you can get back twice as much. Um, you make self-care a priority, and you stop caring what other people think. Okay, self-care, I got to take care of myself, which means I put myself first, and I have to quit caring what other people think, because if these people really cared, they would just support me. Like if people really cared about me, they would support me in everything that I did, whether it was my failures or anything else. So you find your reason to stop caring what other people think. And if people around you think a certain way, trash them, like throw them out, do whatever. I mean, there's certain things that some of my relatives will say that's very religiously judgmental, and then I just attack them because I'm like, oh, but look at what you're doing, this, and this, you hypocrite. It's like, I didn't bring this to you, you brought it to me, so now I'm going to punch you in the face with all this dumb stuff you've done. And then they're like, well, you don't got to be an asshole about it. Well, you opened your mouth first, so you're the asshole. Have a nice day.
Mhm.
So it's like I have my own defenses, but that's me, right? But it's just like I had to find a way for myself to not care what other people think. So I got defiant about it. I got an attitude about it, and I threw it back in their face. That's what I had to do to kind of get myself there, because I was so self-conscious. I cared way too much what other people think. I'm a perfectionist, all these different things. So I had to find my own way to get there.
For me, it was more like not caring what other people think, is more just being so certain in what I was doing and where I was going
Hmm.
that it just didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you can say whatever you want, that's fine. Like this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So the more certainty I had in myself and where I was going, the less and less I cared what anybody else thought.
Yeah. And I can relate to that as well. But in the beginning, I think it was a little more.
It feels like a battle because you want,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like,
So
yeah.
yeah. So we've got those, and those help, those two right there help you find your voice. Right. Like those are big ones. Like you let go of some stuff, you start the self-care, you stop caring what other people think, and your voice is going to begin to come out, right? Naturally. It's just going to begin to start flowing. You fall in love with yourself. I'm going to come back to that one. You start living in the now. Okay, so all of a sudden you're living life, you're doing your thing, you're taking care of yourself, you're actually physically feeling things that are happening now, because your head isn't over here or doing this or chasing what other people think or anything else.
And you focus more on gratitude, and I think in that part too.
Yeah.
Mm.
And during this whole process, you're becoming more honest with yourself, because your awareness of like, wait a minute, why am I doing this and not this? And so the questions come up, you kind of change the stories, you can do different things, and this power begins to shine, and this light comes out, and you start doing these different things, and you start realizing like, wait a minute, I can have it this way. Well, if I can have it this way, and you stop settling for less, and you start going after more.
Raising your standards.
Yep. And in which case you begin, like when you raise your standards, you begin to love yourself and your soul even more. And pretty soon you are creating the life you love living in. Whether you have it or not, you're enjoying the process and you're loving it and moving forward.
Yeah. It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah. So we'll leave you with that.
And then I wrote here, at the bottom of this page, it says, some may not like it, and that's okay. When they step into theirs, they will understand.
Yeah.
So when you step into your power, then you give other people the permission to do the same. So that's it.
All right. Have a good day.